Happy Monday, everybody. Before we go ahead and get started with math, I want to take a second to let you know that we are going to spend this week measuring length. So we're leaving fractions behind us and we're going to go ahead and start with measuring length. So take a minute to look at the materials that you are going to need today. You are going to need the ruler that I sent home in your folder, looks like that. You are also going to need workbook pages 209 through 212. They can be tricky to rip out of your notebook, so ask an adult or an older brother or sister to help you if you're having trouble. Hit the pause button, come on back when you are all ready. Great, you're back and ready to roll. Let's talk about measurement, specifically length. Let's talk about the tools that we use when we measure length. Typically, in the United States, we use the U.S. standard units to measure, such as a ruler and a yardstick. Okay? A ruler like the one you have uses inches, and it is 1 foot long. A yardstick, which is longer and much bigger than a ruler, is 3 feet long and 36 inches. Now there are other places in the world that use the metric units. A lot of other countries use the metric units when they measure length. But you also would use a ruler, and they would use something that's called a meter stick. Now a ruler, which is very similar to the one that you have, if you flip it over, you will see centimeters. So a metric ruler uses centimeters to measure length, and a meter stick to measure longer lengths. A meter stick is made up of 100 centimeters. And I like to think of the word cent when I think of centimeters and meter sticks. There are 100 cents in a dollar, so there are 100 centimeters in a meter stick. That's something I like to use to help me remember. So for today, I want us to explore and investigate some things around your house. I want us to get an idea in our head of what an inch, a centimeter, a foot, and a yard or a meter look like. So for now, I'd like you to find page 209, the bottom, and it looks like this: finding lengths. I'm going to ask that you go around your house and you find objects that are about the same length as these measurements and record them in the space. I did some of my own investigating a little bit ago, and here's what I discovered around my house. I first started looking for centimeters, so I was trying to find something that was this size. This is pretty small. Some things I found in my house. One was this small Lego that's about a centimeter. It's not exact, but it's about. It gives me an idea of what a centimeter looks like. I also discovered that the cap of this marker was about 1 centimeter. When I measured it, the width was about 1 centimeter. So it gave me an idea of what a centimeter looks like. Then I want you to go ahead and try to find what an inch looks like. So flipping your ruler over, here's an inch. Find objects that are about an inch. One thing that I found around my house was a paper clip. It is about an inch. It's a little over, but it gives me an idea the size of an inch. So I ask that you go explore around your house, find objects that are about a centimeter, an inch, a foot, and possibly even a yard or a meter. You might even have one of these around your house to use. If you don't, that's okay. Keep in mind that a yard is 3 rulers. So it's 3 feet long, so it's bigger. So take some time exploring around your house and then come on back and we'll talk about the items that you discovered and why I wanted you to go around your house finding these objects. So hit the pause button and then come on back and we'll talk about what you found. Okay, great, you're back. Hopefully you made it back and you found a few objects that are about 1 centimeter, 1 inch, 1 foot, and possibly even a yard or a meter. I wanted you to explore because I want you to have a friendly benchmark in your mind. Let me explain what I mean by that. I want you to be able to have a picture in your mind about what these sizes are. So when it's time to estimate, you have a good picture of what 1 inch looks like, for example. I know in my mind that a paper clip is about 1 inch. So that helps me when I need to make an estimate. Just like when we read, we envision and we make mental movies to help us understand stories. I want you to envision and make this little mental picture of what 1 inch or 1 centimeter or 1 foot or a yard looks like so it can help you when you have to make an estimate. So friendly benchmarks are helpful. I'd like you to now go ahead and turn or find page 211. Looks like this. Choosing measurement tools and units. If you need to pause, hit the pause button and get your paper. But let's take a look at the directions. The directions say, what measurement tool, ruler, yardstick, or meter stick, would you use for each situation? What unit of measure, centimeter, inch, foot, yard, or meter, would you use? And explain why you chose that. So let's look at number 1. I need to know the length of a fence that will go around the basketball court. I want you to think about that. The length of a fence. Is that a lot? Is that a great distance or is it a small length? Does it make sense for us to use a ruler if we want to measure the length of a fence that's going to go around the basketball court? It doesn't make sense. What could we use? What would measure larger things? We could use a yardstick or a meter stick. And that would be in yards or meters. It makes sense that we use either one of these because the space that's a lot you have to measure. It's a large item to measure. You certainly could use a ruler. It would take you a lot longer. But you could. It makes sense to use bigger tools. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. I need to know how long the strap is on my book bag. So think about what that strap might look like. Does it make sense to use a meter stick or a yardstick? Or would it make sense to use a ruler? You're right. It makes sense to use a ruler. Okay? You could either use the ruler in inches or you can flip it over for centimeters. It's a smaller object to measure. So just think about this. This page is about what's reasonable. If you need to measure larger objects or greater distances, you would want to use the yardstick or meter because they're simply bigger. If it's something smaller, it makes sense to use a ruler. Okay? This is about what's reasonable. Today, when you go off and do your work on your own, you are going to do just a review sheet. Today's homework is about just practicing something that we've done since September. It is a review sheet on place value. Tomorrow we'll do some actual measuring with the ruler and have some more practice with that. But for tonight, this afternoon, what I want you to do is just give yourself some time to review place value. Do your best, work hard, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bring your rulers back, we'll measure tomorrow.